Good morning. Welcome to the DanGoesOutdoors YouTube channel. If you're new around here, have a think about subscribing. It's free to do so. You'll get my videos straight into your inbox. So I'm doing it. I'm on the big pit and I'm doing 24 hours. And you know, a couple of months ago, if you told me that in mid-May I'd be able to night fish, I wouldn't have believed it. This is amazing. I'm so grateful to be able to be out doing it. It was actually my birthday a couple of days ago, so this is a little bit of a present to myself. And I've come quite a far way down the lake. Basically, it's going to get really windy, and I know that this area gets quite sheltered. So as much for my own comfort, I wanted to be down here out of the way of that. It seems like there's a couple of anglers up the other end, so maybe there's some fish down there, but I stood there for about half an hour this morning and saw nothing. So I'm happy down here. I'm in a swim that I've fished a lot before. I've caught from quite a few times, and you know, it's shorter range, so it's easier to fish in this kind of weather. What I'm going to do now is put you guys on a head mount. I'm going to show you the spots that I'm fishing and get some rods out. Now, what I probably get asked the most questions about is fishing weedy lakes, and it probably is one of the biggest steps up in carp angling, you know, going from catching big fish in commercial type venues to weedy gravel pits like this. And the simple answer for fishing weedy lakes is to just not fish in the weed, to find clear spots amongst it. The way to do that's lead about, so I've got a 2-ounce lead there, a distance lead so it doesn't get all stuck up in a weed, it pulls through it really easily, nice and light, so if I am leading about a lot, I'm not scaring a fish away as much. And I fished this swim before, so I had a rough idea of where there were clear areas, but I still needed to find them because it's been about a year since I've fished it. And I knew there was an area roughly out this way, so I had a few casts and I'll show you what I found. Hit the clip, feel it down, donk. So if you watch a rod tip, as I pull it back, locking up a little bit, and then it goes smooth and glassy. Really good area. So I'll just show you that again. Casting at my horizon marker, hit the clip, feel it down, donk. Again. Nice and easy pull back. A little bit more. And now it's starting to hit stuff. So I'm about a rod length over a bank of weed in a very firm, silty channel. No gravel, nothing like that. Just a nice clear area with the odd fleck of weed in there, perfect. So once I've found that spot and I've got the line in the clip, I now often look to find another spot at the same range. So if I go to my right here, make a cast, feel it down, again pull it back, fairly clear area, but I know from experience further to the right it is even firmer and even clearer, so we'll try that now. Donk. Good firm drop there. Yeah, real smooth, real glassy I call it. A little bit harder to get the lead going, so it's probably deeper, thicker silt there. It's quite an old pit this, so even the clear spots aren't like tap, tap, tap gravel, mainly silt. And that's it. It took me about 10 casts this morning to find those 2 spots. So now I have 2 areas at the same range, easy to fish. What I've got to do now is wrap the line around the sticks to find the distance, clip my fishing rods up to the same range and crack on. I've nearly finished putting my rods out, just got my right hand rod to do, and a bit of a confession, I've made a bit of an error in that I've come on a lot earlier than I should have done. I've misread the post from the club, and what we're doing at the moment is we're booking on and you get to fish from 12 till 12, but I kind of misread that. I got me AMs and my PMs mixed up, and when it said you can't arrive before 12, I thought that meant midnight. and I thought that was there just to stop people from coming and doing quick overnighters and filling the place up. So my mistake, I completely misread that. I turned up at about 6, half 6, and yeah, shouldn't be here till 12. And obviously the reason for that is to monitor the amount of people on the lake and make sure that they come in and go in at different times, so no one's crossing paths at the gate. So yeah, a little bit of a slap on my wrist from the bailiff there, but he was nice about it. He's understood my reasoning, and I fished here for years now, and I think the guys know I'm no rule breaker. I don't mess about. I don't trouble the fish or the residents or whatever. I'm not that guy. So yeah, if your clubs are doing different rules at the moment, make sure you read them carefully. And yeah, thank you to, you know who you are. You've let me off there. Oh God, right, get this rod out and carry on. I feel like I've been told off. So I'm all set up now, and despite feeling absolutely awful that I've gained an advantage over the other anglers accidentally, yeah, rods went out really well, nice and accurate with the bait, and they all went in first time. So hopefully something will happen today. If not, I feel like it might be tomorrow morning. Early morning's always a really good time on here, but it's good to get here ahead of schedule and get everything set up. So yeah, fingers crossed. I think I've got my first tench. It is a carp, it's zipping around the place too much. Oh, don't go crazy. Oh, I just lost my lead at the last moment there. Little git. Where's my net? It's really windy, I'm sure you're getting all kinds of noise there. But here's our first pit fish of the session. Little tench. Yeah, it's a good start and it's nice to hear those alarms going. First fish I've had from here for ages. Brilliant, let's hope the next one's a carp. That tench took a pink pepper squid pop up, and I've got a few of these already tied to rig rings, so when I catch a fish I can put on a fresh hook bait nice and quickly. I'm going to put a fresh hook on it as well, even though I think that hook isn't really all that blunt. I like to put on a fresh one anyway, and then I can go back to that hook later and see if I'll use it again. Just had my second dumb moment of the trip. I was getting my cooker out of my bag and I tucked a beer away in there for later on tonight, and I've managed to crack the can and it went all over my food bag. So this lovely, oh God, Northern Monk Striding Edge, which is a nice light IPA full of loads of flavour, very zesty kind of one. I was hoping to have it this evening with my food, but I'm gonna have to have it now. And yeah, well, it's still lively, not gone all flat. Oh man, there's worse things in life though than forcing yourself to have a beer at midday by a lake. Well, Leon may have biscuit of the week, but this is where it's at for me. Ooh, 12:30. Actually just realised I'm drinking this while wearing Fishing in Beer. What else is there? That was a new t-shirt I got for my birthday, thank you. Not a lot has really happened since I caught that tench. I did see a big fish show sort of about 60 yards over to my right there, and if I see a fish show again, then I'll certainly be getting a fish chucked on that spot, but that was about an hour ago now. And I'm thinking that maybe in about an hour or so's time I'll refeed the spot a bit. If I've got some tench activity and I'm seeing tench roll in the area, then maybe I need to put a little bit more feed out. And I'll show you what I'm using. So I've put a bit of it on bucket lid here. It's mainly Smoky Jack boilies, a proper fish meal bait that I tend to use most in the summertime. and then in between the boilies is a bit of corn and some pellets. So the mix is probably about 50 to 60% boilies, and then the rest of it's made of corn and pellets. Because I think the fish, they want the boilies, but often it's a little bit hard to get them started on them. So having the corn, which is very visual, and the pellets as well, that can draw in more fish. And also it does bring in tench, bream, roach, and I think on shorter sessions that's not a bad thing, because the carp will see those other fish feeding, they're chewing the boilies, releasing loads of smell, and bring them in as well. So yeah, the boilies are soaked for, well, these have been soaking for a couple of days in water with a bit of the Smoky Jack syrup in there as well. So they're a lot softer, and because they're already hydrated, they're not going to take in as much of the smell of the silt on the lake bed there. So when a fish eats them, it probably tastes a lot better. And yeah, I feed that. I tend to spread it out a little bit more because you want the fish to be moving about in between mouthfuls. And I've been doing that for a couple of years now. I've stopped using things like hemp and tigers, stuff like that, because it's a bit of a hassle preparing it. But also I think when you're feeding a lot of hemp and small little bits and pieces, the fish get too preoccupied on it, and you then struggle to catch on a bigger hook bait over the top. So I'm happy these days sticking to a more chunky mix, and yeah, it's been working well for me. What was supposed to be a quick recast turned into me just redoing all my rods and refeeding the swims. When I wound in, my rigs off my left hand spot had a little bit more weed and sort of black silt on them than I'd like. So I actually got the leading rod back out, had another little cast around there, just confirming where the firmer areas are, and I think I've got my hook baits on them now. A little bit of fresh bait over top, and then did the same with the right hand rod. And that's a good tip there. When you wind in, take a look at your rig and also give it a smell, and you'll soon find out what the lake bed's like. If it's that sort of rancid, eggy silt, it's probably not the one. But if it's just little bits of flecky sort of black silt with bits of green weed in amongst, which is what I had there, then I think that's brilliant. I think that's the sort of area actually fish like to feed on. It's going to have a lot of natural life in it anyway. So yeah, rods are reset now. Probably won't touch them until darkness, when again I'll recast fresh hook baits and put some more bait over top, ready for the night time and through into the morning. Gonna do anything else? Well, I think I've just been done on my right hand rod. The bobbin's pulled up tight. Now nothing. I'm gonna watch a rod tip. Hey, you're gonna have to wind that in. Might be a fish on there. If there is a fish, I can almost guarantee it'll be a bream. And we've got, oh man, I got done well and truly there. I've got my pasta ready, and then I've got a pork pie as well. And then for afters, I've got a one fruit salad here, so that's pretty good tea for me. And it's busying up a little bit here. There's about 8 or 9 lads on tonight, which is quite a lot for this lake. And I think that's part of the reason as well that I'm not putting out too much bait. I think even if all of us are just putting out a small amount, that's quite a lot of bait for this lake. So I don't want to ruin it for myself and everyone else. But I'm thinking it might be a nighttime thing, if not tomorrow. This wind today is really cold, and through the night it's supposed to drop and the temperature be quite stable, and then tomorrow morning hopefully the sun will be out, and then maybe we'll get a bite or two. That's what I'm hoping, that's what I've got fingers crossed for. But for now, I'm going to eat this, sort my rods out at last light, and yeah, just really hope I catch something. That's everything recast and set for the night. It's a bit of a ritual of mine to redo everything just before it gets dark, because it's my last chance to make sure I've got guaranteed presentation through the night and into the early morning, when the fish tend to feed better on here. This time of night's never been very good for me. So yeah, fingers crossed we're woken up by a big carp. Last night was, well, not uneventful, but we didn't catch any fish, so yeah, a bit of a disappointment. The geese were wild last night. There must be about 200 geese on at the moment, and they wouldn't shut up all night. Them and the swans just arguing. And then at about 3:30, I got a really funny occurrence where both my rods, my left-hand rods, just went crazy. And then when I went down there, my left-hand rod had come out of the clip, so I reset it all, but nothing had moved. So I thought, this is a bit weird, and what I think had actually happened is maybe an animal had run through my bobbins, because my rigs hadn't moved at all. Oh, tense just rolled. So yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment, woke me up. So about an hour later, I decided to recast those rods. First light about 4:30, so they're back out and fresh. And then just later on, I got done. Oh, another tench. Hey, could be in for a tench. I got done on my middle rod. The bobbin pulled up tight, was going like crazy, and then just dropped, and yeah, nothing there. And I think what's going on is, like I'm seeing now, there's a lot of small tench, and they're picking up my rig, shaking it, getting rid of it, because it's actually harder to hook small tench than it is big carp. If a big carp had come along and taken my hook bait with that sort of pop-up rig, if it had been pricked, it would have run, and yeah, game over. Yeah, so all my rods have had a recast. They've both gone in first time. I've not put out any more bait because I've got to go by about 11, half 11, so there's not much point in putting anything else in. I might as well just fish over what's out there and just really hope that I get a fish. The good news is this is the best time of day for a bite on here. Anything from now until about 11 is really good. So yeah, hopefully we'll catch another fish, and that'll be a carp. Realistically, I've got about an hour and a half of proper free rods in the water fishing, and although it's prime bite time, I'm starting to lose confidence, and I kind of thought this would happen. It's easy to think that because they've not been fished for several months, if not last year, because there was only a little bit of carp fishing that went on here before the lockdown happened back in the spring. So you would think that the fish would be going crazy for it, but I think in reality, actually, it's knocked them on the head a bit. It's made them feed very cautiously, behave really cagey. And I think that perhaps explains the weird bites I've been getting, the fact that I've missed 2 fish. That doesn't normally happen. And although I'm sure they were small tench, I think even a tench might be affected by it. And only a few fish have been caught. The lake's a lot busier than it normally is, and I can't fish how I like to fish. You saw me all last summer just with a very light barrow running around the place. Even if I was staying a night, I wouldn't settle in a swim until later on in the day, and I'd catch fish off the top and out the edge, things like that. But part of the agreement we've got at the moment here is that if we're fishing it, we get in a swim and we stick to that swim, so we're not wandering around and spreading the virus. So yeah, I can't fish it how I like to. I can't do my morning walks round, so I'm pretty much just going on gut instinct as to where I think fish will be. And I think at points in the session today and yesterday there have been carp in front of me. I've seen a couple show, and there's been plenty of tench in the area. But yeah, not the comeback I wanted it to be. and you know, I think it might take another couple of weeks for it to settle down, and hopefully by then the rules will have relaxed a little bit more again and I can get on my toes, wander around and hopefully catch some fish. Well, that's everything on the barrow and just my rods out for the final few moments of the session. And you know, I can't hide my disappointment that I didn't catch a carp today or yesterday. And yeah, I've just got to remind myself that I'm just so fortunate to be able to go out and do this at the moment. But yeah, that novelty's kind of wearing off. This is my third session that we've been allowed to go out on, and yeah, I just want to catch some fish now. And I think all the extra angling pressure, all the extra bait going in, along with the kind of time of year, it's a bit of a funny time of year, this post-spring, where the fish might be starting to think about spawning. So yeah, tricky, but we tried, and I think I might give it another go next week, depending on whether or not I'm back at work by then. Yeah, another 24 hours if I can, and maybe visit a commercial or something in the meantime, just to get some bites and get my heart racing again, remind myself that I do know how to catch fish. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and yeah, good luck. I'll see you next time.